we need to talk about Shattered Space, a DLC that for many people is less than 5 hours of gameplay, and is thus the worst DLC to ever launch in the history of Bethesda. And to all those people, I would say, you haven't actually played the DLC if you're beating it in less than 5 hours. So we finished up our first live stream playthrough the other day at 16 and a half hours of gameplay, and I know for a fact that I didn't cover everything there was. I have seen in the live stream chats comments from multiple different people mentioning quests that I never did. There's a reference to like a goose cave that I haven't seen, an old man with like a music box quest. There are 2 companion crew members that I haven't found or looked for, and I did not discover all of the POIs. I did go through and do a pretty in-depth run through, but I play things from a roleplay perspective, so I very rarely do completionist runs the first time, which is why, as of right now, if you've been tuning in, what I'm doing right now, we're off on Aquila because I'm in my new game plus now, and I am pushing towards my second playthrough of Starfield, where I actually have, this time around, I'll have Andreja married, and the other one I only had her as a companion. But this time around, I'm going to have her as my wife, and I want to see those options along the way. We've already seen some interesting dialogue choices outside of Shattered Space, because with my previous playthrough, right before we get to New Game Plus, when we finished up with Shattered Space, we then went and did Andreja quests related to her romance line, and we got new dialogue that's related to the fact that you've already been to her home planet. So we've seen lots of interesting things around that, so I'm currently working my way towards Shattered Space again to go through a second playthrough, see all the content that I missed the first time around, or at least see content that I specifically didn't go look at because it wasn't appropriate for the roleplay of the character that I was doing. This time around, I'm doing something completely different with this New Game Plus character, so we're going to be approaching the Shattered Space DLC from a different perspective when it comes to decisions and choices and the way we choose to play through that. So, everybody I've been speaking with in the streams, based on the playthroughs that we've been experiencing, is around 20 to 25 hours for a sort of base completionist version. And then if you're going to go all out and do multiple playthroughs, you're looking at 50 hours plus to just get through everything. Now, here's the caveat. The people who are on the internet complaining about how there's no content, there's no new mechanics, there's no new companions, they beat it in 4 hours or less, I would say that for many of those people, they're approaching it wrong, and they haven't actually played the DLC. They've done the main storyline, which is different. Anyone who's ever played DLCs in any game ever, the DLC is never just the main story. It is the sum of all parts. Because here's the thing. I've seen a lot of comparisons to Phantom Liberty as an example. Oh, this just can't compare to Phantom Liberty. Oh, Phantom Liberty this, Phantom Liberty that. The main storyline for Phantom Liberty can also be done in a handful of hours if you beeline through and that's all you do and you don't pay attention to anything else. You can literally speedrun to the end in a few hours in the Phantom Liberty DLC. Same thing you can do here. But a DLC is the sum of all its parts, and there are a lot of different parts here. Now, I've already given a soft review of my first playthrough. I gave it a 7 out of 10. That score will probably skew a little higher as I see some additional things and I complete some more content, and especially as they patch some of the performance issues out, because it does have some performance issues, at least on the Xbox Series X, when you're playing in quality mode, even if you're targeting 60 frames. There are some performance hits in major fight scenes. Outside of that, it's great. But yeah, the idea that this is like the worst thing that Bethesda's ever done and there's nothing here. The fun one for me is the moment someone says there are no additional companions in this DLC, I immediately discredit what they have to say. Because there are in fact 2. Now, I think what many people were hoping for was an additional romanceable character, right? As opposed to just people that you can hire and bring onto your crew. That's not here. Should it have had one? I don't really care if it does or doesn't. We've got great base characters. At some point down the road, more DLCs, they add more things. These things take time. Bethesda has always put out multiple DLCs for their games. So, that's one of those things where this wasn't for me. This was about Andreja coming back to her home planet. She is literally the official character that like the canon character to take through because you're going back to her home planet. So if you've played the base game and you've had the relationship and you've had the conversations with Andreja, then this is all about her getting a chance to go home and have the reuniting that she never thought she was ever going to be able to have. So this is all about her, an existing companion. So people who complain about, oh, there wasn't another romanceable companion, I don't think you quite understand what the story of this DLC was, likely because all you did is bum rush from point A to point B and spacebarred your way through all the conversations. There are so many lines of dialogue, and I had somebody on YouTube this morning who literally said, dialogue isn't content, mate. I need new mechanics and new companions, otherwise it's a fail. That individual, that type of commentary is absolutely ridiculous, and it's why these people can't find enjoyment in any of the games they play, because they have completely unrealistic expectations and they don't understand what the game companies are producing. So this game, this DLC, there are so many talented voice actors, so many talented writers who have put a lot of thought and care into this. You have animators, you have mocap stuff, you have programmers, you have musicians, all of these people working to create, yes, content, because guess what? Voice acting, dialogue, narration, the story of the fucking DLC, and all of the side quests that go along with it, that's content. Just because you don't like to listen to people talk, it's not actually content. Those reviews, just throw them out the window. They aren't valid. The other way to look at this is that if you go to a restaurant and order a plate of food, it's not finished until you've eaten everything. If you only eat, if you order steak, a potato, and salad and bread and a glass of wine, and you only have 2 bites of your steak and a couple bites of potato, and the rest of it you take home for later, you didn't actually finish your dinner. You kind of lose the right to make a critique about something if you didn't actually finish it. And some people are going to say it's not the same thing. But what if the food was bad and I send the steak back because it was undercooked? And blah, blah, blah. Everybody's got an argument for something, right? We could go tit for tat all day long. The point is, there is a lot more to a DLC than just the main storyline. And if you're going to sit on YouTube and say how story content and dialogue isn't actually content, and that, oh, they didn't have ship parts, they didn't have, now you're reaching. So I would say that yes, there were some flaws. The performance thing needs to be fixed.
Well, hey there.
There were some traditional Bethesda jank things that I saw, which were quite amusing, in terms of characters walking in front of you. That stuff's never going to go away. But overall, I had a great time. 16 and a half hours through the first playthrough. We are heading back to it now. So if you want to see another round on New Game Plus as I continue to play through Starfield and Shattered Space, daily streams happen at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. My multi-stream on YouTube and Twitch.
Sorry, but I've got
so you get to choose where to watch. And I play a lot of other games. We got a super busy October ahead of us with Diablo 4.
Hiya.
We've got New World Eternum, we've got Black Ops 6, we've got Dragon Age: The Veilguard. There's a lot more beyond Shattered Space, so hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Until then, everybody, stay safe. We'll see you in the next one. Happy gaming, and get out there and actually play the Shattered Space DLC. It's a lot of fun. Don't pay attention to the reviewers who are saying, oh, it's only 3 hours of content. It's absolute shit. There's no new this, there's no new that. There's no actual content to do because we don't pay attention to the side quests, and we don't actually go around and explore the 50 new POIs and all of that stuff because all we did was spacebar our way through the conversations and meh, meh. Don't listen to those people. Play it for yourself. Have fun. I know I am.